Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Steve and I am a person that's creating these maps for this arena, this Solaris VII tournament that's happening in Vancouver, and I'm very excited to share with you these particular maps. And this particular map here is the Steiner Stadium. And at the very beginning of this map, this is how it will be set up and this is how you will learn to play. Every map has an entrance, and you can see here that there's one on this side and there's another entrance on this side of the map. And this particular Valkyrie right here would enter one at a time. We would not start our mechs on these positions. We would start by entering it, and your first position would be 1, 2, 3, and that would be the movement right here. Now, if you take a look, there are numbers that are corresponding to these rounded dotted areas right here, and this right here represents a hill. This particular hill is 4 levels tall. This particular hill is 5, 6, 3, and 2 levels tall, and it correlates with this number right here. So at the very beginning of the game, this is how you would set up your hills. So in this case right here, this particular awesome would be hidden by this level 6 right here. Now, that's no fun. You want the hills to change, and this is Steiner Stadium. So what would happen is that you would consult over here in the gameplay. And between the movement and the attack phase, you're gonna roll these dice twice. So you're gonna roll this up here, and it's double 4s. Anytime that you roll doubles, everything goes away. The bridges go away, as do the hills themselves. These drop down to 0. If you're standing on top of a hill, which this Phoenix Hop happens to do, he would have to roll a piloting check from 5 down to 0. In which case, that would be a change, the elevation change would be a 5 elevation change plus his piloting. If he fails that, he falls. In which case, his damage would be his damage divided by 10 times 5. It's a lot of damage to take from a very high fall. I'm pretty sure his leg would suffer from that one. Anyways, this right here, how you would roll, let's say this wasn't the roll, let's say it was something like a 3 and a 4. Well, in this case right here, you would look at where the 3 is on this right here, which is over here and over here. And then you'd look at this one right here, over here, and over here. So you'd roll this dice right, you'd roll this dice right here, and that would be the 3 right here. So this would maintain the same height. You'd roll this dice right here, and that would go up 1 level. You go over to this dice, you'd roll this dice right here, that would drop to level 1, making this guy more exposed. That's interesting. Then of course you go to, let's see, where is the other one? Where's the 4 over here? So let's roll this guy over here, and he dropped down to level 3. And so then you would proceed into your next round, and this is how the game is played. There are rapids in this. If you were to go and accidentally, say for example, if you're on this particular bridge right here, there is no, between your movement and action phase, if you were to pause in this bridge right here, and let's say, for example, this was a 2 that was rolled and not a 3. This 2 would go over to this bridge, and that bridge would be deactivated, and you would fall into rapids. You would first take fall damage from hitting the water, and of course you would fall to the depth of 1. Now you'd also be forced to a piloting check. And when you do, if you do fail that piloting check, you will proceed to go down into the next rapid slide, where you would actually perform another piloting check right here. There's a lot of information right here on the side. And the rapids apply a +2 movement modifier when you're jumping or walking or running into the rapids, and you're entering the hex forces a piloting check with a +2 modifier as well. On failing that, you will fall over. Falling into the rapids, immediately fall and move into the next rapid hex towards the nearest arena wall. Pilot check again for entering that hex until you succeed or you reach the end and are jettisoned off the map, in which case that would be the game. This is a really fun map. We had a lot of great times playing with this one, and I think you'll love it too. Well, let's go on to the next one. We'll explain what these little things right here are, and they will come into, you'll understand them in the next little bit. let's just clear this map off a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of just most of these dice, leave 2 of them here. Okay, let's go and hit custom. We're gonna go into this one and we're gonna find another map here for us to look at. Let's go to export map and we're gonna go and look at Borealis Reach. There we go. Alright, here's Borealis Reach, and again, I believe in this particular map right here, we only need 2 dice, which are these 2 right here. Let's say, for example, we got 1 Valkyrie on here, we got this person right here, this awesome is going to be on this level 3 land right here, and this Warhammer is going to be on level 5 land over here, and this one right here is going to be level 3. And that's level 2. Yeah, you're on level 2. Let's go in this direction right here. Now, as you can see, this Borealis Reach is pretty cold. You do get a bonus on this map to your heat, which you get a +1 bonus, or sorry, -1 bonus to your heat every turn, which is nice for people that run a little bit warm. There are ice on this map and chasms. If you fall into the chasm, that's it, game over. You're basically lost. And of course, before you fall into the chasm, your pilot will have the opportunity to eject. There is ice in this map, and ice is very similar to pavement, in which case if you change direction while you are on the ice, you will potentially slide into the next tile, which could be potentially dangerous, especially when you're operating next to the chasm, which you can also be pushed into. You can also see here that these particular plateaus that you'll see here are all in correlation to this number right here. You'll see here there's level 3, there's level 4, there's level 5, there's level 2, and of course these break up the line of sight, but you can have good long ranges if you have a good LRM. You can definitely do some damage over this terrain. Now that's not what we're talking about though. We're going to talk about these little things right here, these little dice indicators right here. So what you'll want to do is you want to consult over here, you'll read this, you'll say between the movement and the attack phase, you're going to roll these 2 to determine which plateaus shake. And there's going to be 2 of them, or in this case there might be 1 of the same. So we're going to roll these dice and see what happens. So a 6 and a 1. Now a 6 is just no dice, means that there's no dice, that it just means that that's nothing, it doesn't roll at all. But the 1 certainly does hit, and of course it hits this person right here. So the Valkyrie has a severity of 5, in which case his piloting would now all of a sudden be, he's definitely gonna, I think he's gonna feel something. So they're gonna roll this dice right here, and of course he failed that miserably, and he would go down. That would be if the severity was 5, it would be 5 plus his piloting roll, so that'd be 10. It would be a really tall hill to climb, and he definitely failed. He would be falling over and taking damage. If this happened to be a 1, like 2 right here, then we grab a fissure and we place it underneath where the mech is. He would fall into this fissure right here. It's a little big. Hold on. Let's make that smaller. There you go. Little smaller. There we go. Perfect. So he would actually fall into this fissure. Now to determine the depth of the fissure, you would roll 1d6, and if it's a 1, 2, or 3, it would be a sub-level of 1, and if it's a 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, or 6, it would be a sub-level of 2, in which case you would be taking your tonnage, divide that by 10, and times that by the distance that you fell, which would be 2. Not exactly fun to do, especially if you're in a much larger mech. Alright, so that's it for that map right there. It's pretty easy to follow. It's really simple. It's not too challenging. You just got to remember to take your turns and remember to do it every time. It makes it a lot more fun. You definitely don't have to play with these rules, but it certainly makes the game a lot more interesting, especially when you have an earthquake that happens underneath a particular mech. If you were, say for example, just one more before we let you go on to the next map. If you were to roll these 2 right here, and it's 2 and 2, then basically it's double the earthquake and double the chances of the mech falling over. And that's pretty much it. That's the map. If you roll 6s, nothing bad happens. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Okay, we're gonna pull our mechs off of the arena. Let's go find another one for us to look at. So this was the Borealis Reach. Let's go in here and let's look at this jungle map right here. We're gonna open this up. The jungle map is one of my favorites. As you can see, there's lots of diversity in here. There's lots of interesting terrain that you can move through. There's some sub-level terrain which allows you to kind of come up and underneath. There's some interesting throughways. It's a little bit more of a close quarter map. If you're a jumper, it's kind of perfect. However, if you do jump across these red lines, please be very careful when you do. Why do I say this? Well, these are laser sensors. They're basically, all they are is just these wonderful little lasers that will melt your face by, like, if you accidentally step over the line. If you're pushed over the line, or if you step over the line, fly over the line, jump, run, you would basically, the sensors would try and track you down. How does that work? They can be tripped during the movement phase. If successful, damage is dealt before the start of the weapons phase. Units cross the laser sensors represented red, roll 2d6 if either die correlates. So say for example I am this Warhammer and I want to travel. I'm lazy, I want to go, I don't want to go, I want to go around, or I don't want to go around. I could go around here and move my way through the heavy forest and the light wood and whatnot to get around this. Or I could go up this way if I really wanted to. But no, I want to plow through this particular red line right here. I would stop right here, like I would move through this particular line. So I would be on this side of it and move to this side of it. Now, I do not stop while, if I like to do this check. I will roll this dice right here, and as you can see, one does hit, and I get a laser to my front because I pass through it in the front arc. When I get hit in the front, then it's basically just a medium laser, and that medium laser damage is a damage value of 5. And then you just consult your hit table, and away you go about your merry way, cursing the person who designed this map, which was me. All right, so that's pretty much it for the map. It's very easy to figure it out. The water is just water. These you can land on, and it's just a lot of fun. We do have tokens that are going to be here at this particular event. The tokens or chits are going to have fire on one side, smoke on the other. And if you are a person that enjoys to actually have fire and smoke in your game, you can actually use those pieces right there. Now, there's also as well on the side, should you choose, fire can ignite both accidental and intentional. You can consult the Tactical Operations Guide on page 41 of 42. These weapons, they are the types that can start fires. Just be sure to remember that when you're cruising around on this particular map. Now let's take this off and let's consult another map. I think that's pretty much easy. That's easy peasy. This, oh yeah, I should probably mention that this does have 4 starting positions right here. Okay, so let's grab this map here. Let's go to Maze. This is one of the first maps I ever created, and this particular map right here is, I think, still pretty fun. This actually takes place, the way this map is played is very simple. Each team is responsible for 1 or 2 dice, depending on how many players. If it's just 2 teams, then each player would get 2 dice, and those would represent these impenetrable gates. And you can see here there's also hedges, which is a new tile for Battletech. This particular map is one that I think is pretty fun for people who have jump jets, not so much fun for larger mechs who are who have a difficult time navigating through the corridors here. In this particular case, we're going to just set up these mechs in a couple different areas just to show what happens. So the initiative is what determines where we place these. We're going to roll all 4 dice to determine where all 4 of these are going to close. There's a nice little open area in the center that people are going to want to try and race to because it's got some nice water in there, so you can get your feet wet. In this case right here, if we're moving in the initiative phase, we discover what the initiative is. and we start rolling dice. Now the first person that wins initiative rolls first. He rolls a 2, and he's going to place that right here. He doesn't want this Warhammer maybe to move through this particular junction right here. Okay, so let's go grab this one right here. There's another dice right here. Control C, Control V. This requires 4 dice on this particular map. And then the next person, which is let's say it's the Awesome, he's going to roll this dice right here, and he's saying 3 right there. So he is going to put his maybe over here in this spot right here. He doesn't know what the Valkyrie's going to do. Maybe the Valkyrie's going to jump over to this area, but he's going to try and prevent that from happening. So the next person is going to roll the dice for the people that won the initiative, and he rolls a 5. Let's just say that's a 4 instead. And he's going to close that gate off to that person, forcing the Awesome to move perhaps maybe in a different area. The Awesome wants to move. He's going to try and turn, and he's going to run into this hedge right here to try and break through the hedge. Now, there are rules for getting into the hedge, and you will read about those right now. The hedges are 3 levels high. You cannot see through the hedge. You cannot see over the hedge. They're dense and difficult to pass through. Entering a hedge from under 2 hexes, they apply a +2 movement penalty, and you have to roll a piloting check with +2 modifier. If you fail that piloting check, nothing happens, but you will stop at that particular moment right there. No damage occurs. Now, if you enter a hex from 3 or more hexes away, apply a +1 modifier and roll a piloting check without a modifier. Basically, that means that you just ran like the Dickens right into the hex right here, and you broke through into this particular area. Now, if I'm in the hex right here, the Phoenix Hawk can still shoot at me, but it's treated like heavy wood, which is a +2 modifier to his roll right there. Which I think is pretty awesome. This particular person, this Awesome, cannot see this particular Valkyrie. Now, this Valkyrie, if this Valkyrie had, for example, or this, let's see here, if this Phoenix Hawk was using its jump jets, it could try to land on the hedge. If it landed on that particular hedge, it could, it's basically, you can jump on it, but you will suffer a +2 movement penalty because you're trying to land on a particular hedge, and you must roll a piloting check with a +2 modifier. If you fail that, you fall 3 levels, which is basically your tonnage divided by 10 times 3. Now, if you are on the gate and the gate is actually opens up, or like right now, these are all in what we call an open position. An open gate is at level 0, and when it's a closed gate, it's at level 3. So as you can imagine, if this was number 1 and this one was rolled at number 1 right here, and it popped this particular Phoenix Hawk up, he would have to roll a piloting roll check plus a 2 modifier for the elevation change to level 3. And once that occurs, +3 modifier to level 3, which means that he would, if it was a 5 for his piloting, he would have to roll an 8 or higher in order to actually be able to be successful with that particular piloting roll. And if he failed it, then of course he would fall 3 levels to the ground, which would not be fun. And it's the same with if he was on top of this gate right here, and the gate was all of a sudden taken out from underneath him. Then of course what would happen is that would it'd be the same sort of thing. He would have to do the piloting check as well. And that's it for this map. It's very easy to figure it out. It's not too hard. On to the next one. Let's see here. What's next on the list here? Let's go to the pool. The pool only requires 1 dice, so let's delete all these ones right here. This was inspired by the pool from the original Solaris VII maps. As you can see here, there are 4 starting positions where you can start your mech, and obviously from each, if you're starting from these positions right here, it's obviously going to be a little bit of a shorter game than if you're starting from these positions right over here. This one right here has some interesting features. You got these level 1 pipes, and you have these depth 1. That gives you a 2-level variance, which allows you a little bit of cover. Now, this mine, however, is a fun little addition, which is essentially just a minefield, I suppose is the best way to describe it. the minefield stretches around the mine tile. So you'll see all this water inside here, but this mine right here affects all those particular tiles right there. So if my Warhammer was to, say, for example, walk into this depth 1, he would also have to roll a dice right here. If he rolls a 1, the mines go off. If he doesn't, then it doesn't. And he's able to walk into the next one, in which case he would roll a 1, in which case the damage would happen and it would stop his movement, his forward movement. Why would you want to walk into the depth 1? Well, that's a good question. This particular arena is very hot, so it runs hot, which gives you a +1 modifier to your heat. If you were to run on these pipes, which are the things that generate the heat, you would run 1, 2, 3, and you would also accrue your heat on top of it. It's a fast way to move around the map, but it's also a great way to overheat your mech. If you land on this particular pipe, then it's +1 heat, if that's something that you're jumping on towards. If you cross over it, because from 1 to here, you're going to cross 1 and 2 and 3, you might as well just check the BIP on the heat right there as soon as you cross over that particular pipe right there. Also as well, so it's if you're just walking out in the surface here and you're just out here and you're not even touching the pipe, it's still a +1 modifier because of the heat inside the actual building. That heat, that +1 modifier, can be negated by jumping into the depth 1 pool. Now, they also as well, because it's depth 1, the only things that these mines will affect are your legs. And if you take a look at here, if you do set off the mine, you'll come over to this one over here to the side. Let's grab this one, move this over here, grab it over here. And you're going to consult this mine cluster table right here, which is just basically an SRM6 chart. You'd roll the dice right here. And of course, if you roll a 9, that would be 5 mines would go off, giving you a total of 10 damage to your left or your right leg. Lots and lots of fun. Of course, that's not going to happen to you though, because you have excellent dice rolls. Next up, we're going to switch over and we're going to have a look at our next map, moving right along. Let us go to the resort map. This is probably my favorite map out of the bunch. You'll see here that there are some dice numbers that are correlating with these positions right here, and these are for strafing runs, and we'll get into that in a moment. As you can see here, there are 4 different starting positions. And from these starting positions, you can see there's quite a different height and elevation. There's level 6 up here, and of course it tapers off to level 0, where it's almost like an OK Corral in the center of town right here. And you'll notice here that there's no actual dice indicator right here, which offers you a quote-unquote safe zone. These buildings right here are very light. They're not exactly made of fibrous, like they're not made of concrete. They're made of wood. And therefore they have very low construction factor, and the construction factor chart is over on the side here. So if you look for something that's a light level 1, you could say that this one was a light level 2, light level 2. Let's see here, we have a light level 1 right here, this small little shack right there. It would take nothing to destroy that shack right there. How does this map work? Well, at the very beginning, before your movement phase, what you're wanting to do is you're going to want to roll these dice right here. There's actually 4 sets of dice that you have. You get 4, one team gets 2, the other team gets 2. If there's 4 players, then obviously each player gets 1 particular dice, and they can do that, like place them wherever they wish. So let's say in the order of initiative, the person that wins the initiative rolls the first dice right here, and he rolls a 1. Let's say my guy is over here into this side right here. I've got an awesome right here. And I've got this guy right over this side, and the Valkyrie's like somewhere over here, and I roll a 1. Okay, so I would take my dice and I would place it over here because I'm this guy right here, the Warhammer, and I want to strafe over here. There's a chart over here. If I use my magnifying glass right there, you can see that there's a chart here. So in this case right here, the 4 is being represented. Strafing run can run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the way up here. This particular strafing run, this is the pattern in which case it follows. So the damage can go inside this particular range right inside here. That's how far it can reach. Now, if you were to say, for example, be on the outside of this particular strafing run, you do have a chance of getting out of the way. So I would run this one, that would be one right here. This is an awesome turn. I'm gonna roll this dice right here, and he's gonna roll a 2. He's gonna place that 2 back here. This guy, the Valkyrie's up next. I'm gonna roll this dice right here. He rolls a 2, and I'm gonna roll this one and put him over here, maybe. Yeah, over there. Yeah, that sounds about right. The next one up is going to be, yeah, this is the Phoenix Hawk. The Phoenix Hawk is 6, and he's going to just throw it up in the top corner. He doesn't really care about that one. Now we're going into the movement phase, and this is where people always forget. They always forget about everything. No one ever remembers. So this Warhammer would maybe reposition like this, and he'd be like, you know what, nothing bad's ever going to happen. So if I turn him around, I can just kind of turn him that direction right there and pause him. And this guy does it this way right here, and this guy does it this way right here. And everyone kind of turns and faces, and they're about ready to show off in the OK Corral. And then everyone realizes, oh man, there's a bombing run that's happening. And let's grab another Control-C, Control-V. Grab 2 more dice out right here, and this is where the fun begins. So we take a look at this chart right here. Now, you can roll 2d6, a 6+ with a movement modifier. What does that mean? That means your movement modifier, which was boxcars because no one ever moved, means that it's basically a 6 or higher to hit. So he would hit right here, and then of course this Phoenix Hawk would hit right there, or maybe, let's see, let's roll Phoenix Hawk 2. He would hit, and the Warhammer would also get hit as well. So what happens when that happens is like a 5-point damage would happen in your front and rear arc. You can actually see the chart right here. I believe if you roll, yeah, a 1, 2, 3, I believe it hits your front. And if you roll a 4, 5, 6, it hits your back. Let's see if that actually is true here. Yeah, on the result of 1, 3, the attack hits the front. When I roll a 4, 6, it hits the back. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. If it does hit right here, this is what can occur. You get dropped on 5 damage, but also the surrounding area actually gets hit as well. If this Valkyrie was next to this person right here about to punch the Awesome, and the Awesome got dropped on because it was within the range that was coming in, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he's in range, then that means that this would be affected. So you put this counter, which will be on the table at the tournament, and these would be damaged as well. Oh shoot, here we go. You know what I mean, I'm trying to get it in there. There we go. So you put damage tokens on here to illustrate that these places would actually be damaged. If that's a medium level 1, you would consult the chart over here, and it would say that it's a 30, it's subtract 5 points of damage, and away you go. That's pretty much all there is to the map right here. If this guy got dropped on, again, it's the same sort of thing. If he's in this particular zone right there, then of course the construction factor would be around him as well, and would just kind of destroy the entire area around these 2 mechs right here. And of course around here, the construction factor, that would reduce these ones as well, because they would be taking damage. You can run into buildings, you can try and land on top of buildings, but please keep in mind that if you are a 45-ton mech and you are jump jetting on top of a building that only has a 40 construction factor, that building is going to fall, and you are going to fall however many levels. If it's a level 3 medium, you can look here, level 3 medium is a 40 CF, meaning a 45-ton mech that goes to jump on top of this particular one right here. It would fall through the floor. Now buildings also as well, if it's destroyed, it's reduced to rubble. There is no basements in this particular resort town community. So we can minimize that and make that a little bit smaller right here. So here's your rubble right there, Control-C, Control-V. If you have 3 of these tiles reduced to rubble, then the whole building is then reduced to rubble as well. That's another good thing to notice. Also as well, yeah, there's not much to it. There are some bridges over here that will allow you to go down a little bit further. The bridges are, they're sturdy bridges. They're very difficult to destroy, but they can take damage and they can because they do have construction factors built into them, but they are designed to take a little bit of weight. But they are again 85, which means that if you walk a 100-ton mech across that particular bridge, that bridge will collapse. Good to know. All right, next up, we're going to delete these tiles right here because we don't need them anymore. These ones are here as well. Let's go on to the next map. Custom. Yes, I believe the last one is the Scrapyard. This is the last map, and this is, to be honest, my favorite map. So let's place these mechs all over the place. Let's place this guy right here, and let's place this mech right here, and this side right here. Place that mech right there. We'll place this mech over in the corner over here. We have one dice right here. So in between, this particular map right here has a turret. You'll have like scrapyard. Scraps are basically, you treat these as light wood. They do have a level 2. They're actually taller than what they appear. So just kind of use your sort of your theater of the mind to understand that these scraps are more than what you actually see here on the screen. The turret right here is part of the scrap. It's actually, it's treated as a scrap tile, with the exception that it has a turret attached to it, a turret that you cannot shoot or destroy. Now the turret will basically shoot at the easiest possible target. It does have a base. It has a base operation. And you can see right here that it has a, let's see here. Yeah, here's the information right here. So it has a +4 to hit modifier, and of course it has your range modifier. It's AC 10, and it does a wonderful amount of damage to the front or the back of your mech. So if this is the case right here, we have the Awesome, we have the Warhammer, we have the Valkyrie. We'd roll this dice just before the attack phase, so you'd move, and then everyone would roll this dice. The 6 would happen over here in the corner. This turret would pop up, and it would try and look and allocate. Oh yeah, I can probably hit this one. This one's the closest one right here, and take a pot shot at the back of the Valkyrie. So the Valkyrie pilot would be like, oh crap. He would have to take 2 dice right here. The Valkyrie pilot would then roll these dice, and if he rolled a 4, or like if he, say for example, if his movement, let's say, hold on a second here. Too many dice on the field. Too many dice. Let's say that one goes like this right here. Let's say he had moved and he was like a 2 right there. That means he'd have to roll a 6. So let's go Control C and Control. There we go. Roll these 2 dice here. Yeah, so he'd get hit in the back for 10 damage, and then of course you roll your hit table. It's a pretty fun map. You've got some little bit of cover over here with the level 2. You can kind of move around that, and that would prevent you from getting hit a little bit. Trying to shoot through scrap is kind of like shooting through light wood. So if you had 2 light wood, you could potentially make it be a +2 modifier. If it's 3 light wood, you wouldn't be able to see him or your target, and then of course you would not have a shot. There's a little bit of terrain variation over here where you got level 2 and level 1, and of course you got terrain elevation on the other side with level 2 and level 1. And you have a little bit of depth in here. It's just water. Don't worry, you can get your feet wet. It's totally fine. Anyways, that's it for all the maps. I hope you enjoyed these ones. Let me know if you have any questions. My email is steampunkarena@gmail.com, and I'm available for communication whenever you feel like it. Yeah, this is the maps that are going to be at the tournament, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you guys October 1st and 2nd in Vancouver at the Inn at the Key.